Hey everyone, hey and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host Tom Quee. I'm starting, as I always start off, by thanking you for subscribing. If you leave a review on iTunes, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Please comment on the videos, like on the videos, follow us on Twitter at Battle Rap Resume. You want to get in touch with us as well, battlerapresume@gmail.com. Initially, I receive a lot of emails, and initially I was reading them out exclusively on our Patreon as a sort of resume review extra episode. I've got to be honest with you, little behind the scenes Battle Rap Resume thing, no one seemed to care about that. Like, I would put that on the channel and no one would listen. People would go onto the Patreon to listen to the previews of upcoming episodes. So, you know, if you want to go on there now, we've got stuff coming up. We've got Tenchu coming up on there. We've got Dundee. We've got Blizzard. We've got Censor. You know, the big guests. If you want to listen to them first, go onto the Patreon. But with the emails, I'm probably going to do an episode soon on the actual YouTube channel of me just reading out, you know, the fan mail that I've had over the past year or so. Got some great correspondence there. So if you want to get in touch with me, there's the Twitter, there's the email, there's the Patreon. As I say, if you want to help support the show, you want to give back, thank you, you know, from the depths of my soul to everyone that is donating. It's crazy to me that I've got like 35 patrons, you know, giving money monthly to Battle Rap Resume because they like the show. It is mind-boggling, and if you want to be another one of them, you want to give back, you want to get access to preview content, go onto the Patreon. We have the Redbubble as well, redbubble.com/Battle Rap Resume. All these descriptions will be in the channel if you want to pick up some merchandise, some Battle Rap Resume shot glasses or stickers or shirts or, you know, whatever else they plaster our logo on. You can definitely pick it up there. But yeah, we've got an interesting episode. I mean, with Battle Rap Resume, I'm trying to kind of, you know, of course we'll have guests on, we talk about battles, we preview events, but Battle Rap's such a fascinating culture in so many permutations, and, you know, one that people don't consider but is a kind of important facet is the idea of names, your name as a battler, the idea of name flips. Why did you pick that name? How purposeful is that name? How strong is that name? Is that name just literally your name? Is it more of a moniker that you adopt? And, you know, very excited to join me to dig into this, you know, intriguing subject is Mark. How's it going, man?
Yeah, it's all good, man. How are you?
Very, very well, bro. Is it Mark Angel Brandt? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's fitting that I introduce you fully as we're going through this. But as you're you know, a new guest to the show, I said to you before, actually, I believe you were the first person that ever emailed me. So, you know, very, very, you know,
There's an accolade.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was back in, like, I don't know, maybe it was like Press 1 or so. It was like really early episode, I remember. And you gave some like really useful feedback, actually, that I definitely appreciate moving forward. And, you know, it was great to speak to you then. So, but as you're new to the show, battle rap as a thing in of itself, how did you get into it?
I came up on the fairly stereotypical route. I got pulled into the clickbaity virally video of teacher beating student. And so Mark Bliss and Grizzard. Mark Bliss and Grizzard, apparently that's a new mix up. Yeah, Mark Grist and Blizzard. And then just did the same thing as you did, really. Just clicked through to the different battles that had been happening. Like, went through Mark Grist's route. And then, I just started exploring different names, figuring out what I dug and what I didn't dig that battle rap had to offer. It's been I think about three or 4 years now, but I haven't really kept too close attention.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just such a wonderful thing to dive into. Like, I know, you know, you write widely on music as well, and it is similar. You know, each battler has a discography in of itself, really, that you sort of have to pick through. And, you know, maybe you're a fan of there's kind of the B-sides, they're kind of lesser known battles, and then kind of like, you know, they're bigger hits or whatever. But it is brilliant to get through. And, you know, we had a little exchange back and forth. We obviously wanted to do an episode. You threw some interesting ideas. One of them being homophobia in battle rap, which I think we should definitely cover. I think, you know, that is a, you know, a huge kind of, you know, a craw in some people's paw for that. But, you know, I definitely want to kind of examine that further. But today we're doing names, battle rap monikers. Why did you want to do this? It
actually started off because I thought of the worst names first. Right. Because I'm not going to reveal any particulars, but there are a couple of names where I thought, why did you pick this? You are opening yourself up to so many opportunities for ridicule, name flips, and just general humiliation. And yet you're continuing to persist as a battler with this name. Also, in a way, from some of the newer people who've been coming through the Don't Flop crowd, and you've had like one guy who's gone through 2 or 3 different names. Yeah. It just got me thinking about, like, what is a name actually attached to a battler's persona? Also, when it can be shifted and changed so much or if it's just a ridiculous thing. But anyway, yeah, that's where it came from.
And it's interesting to think about the sovereignty of names. Like, you know, names really kind of give something to a person. Like, I don't know, Zen feels like a Zen to me. I don't know what it is, but it kind of has that quill. You know, maybe we're just repositioning. I
think Ogmios is basically just like the perfect name for Ivan. Like, it fits perfectly.
It's the Welsh god of eloquence, I believe. Is
so there we go.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's just Ogmios probably stands out amongst probably every Don't Flop name ever. There's no other name like that kind of evokes that kind of classical, almost theological leanings there. But you know, it's interesting to see as well within names when two people are named similar. So you know, we have two Goods, two Locksmiths, two QPs. It's quite relevant.
Yes, definitely. I remember being when I think it was Locksmith. Actually, I saw a battle that he'd done. I think it was the Brixie battle. I don't remember. Where someone was commenting, going, "Nah, this is not the American guy. Like, where's the Locksmith? I know from California." I was like, okay, you can't. Like, first of all, they're spelled differently, and secondly, like you can clearly tell from the thumbnail this is not the same guy. Locksmith looks different to Locksmith.
And it's just like, if you're a fan to know who Locksmith, i.e. Grind Time Locksmith, you know he hasn't been battling since 2011. Is he really going to be battling Briggsy on an April Fool's card in Don't Flop? Like, is that going to be his return? But, you know, I want to give props to, I don't know if you've watched the original Locksmith, but
I've heard some of his music, because he's on the Fresh Coast Non-Perishables, but I've not actually checked out his battles.
I've never seen someone beat Disaster so decisively as Locksmith.
Okay, all right. There's some homework for me.
Yeah, oh no, great battle, and it's a grind time battle, so it's 10 minutes long. You know, it's very easy to do as you're cleaning the dishes or whatever. And you know, the personality that he has, and he goes at Disaster like no one goes at Disaster for the obvious angle of you're a bit of a crybaby attention seeker. Like no one just goes at that obvious angle, and I think Locksmith, you know, gets his teeth in the neck here, but. This is obviously going to be a sort of a nebulous discussion here about names, but we got a little bit of a structure here. We're going to sort of go through names we like initially. So tell me about a battle rap name that you really like.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with an obvious one, Soul.
Right.
Because, I mean, aside from the fact that it has been name flipped to death, I think it just really kind of encapsulates a lot of the creative writing that Sol puts out. Also, I mean, the puns that have been done on him being like a lone figure in Scottish battle rap, I think it also kind of like links in with his personality and just how he is as like he's a super friendly guy. Don't get me wrong, he's an amazing guy to hang out with, but he is a little bit of kind of like not trying to be everybody's best friend and the kind of like jokier, everybody loves me kind of guy. So yeah, as a name, I think it suits him well. Also, just like his Twitter username is kind of perfect. So
Soul was taken, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like aside from the Shang Tsung references, which, as I said, have been done to death, like it's still a pretty cool name.
Yeah, you see that a lot with battle rappers trying to get their Twitter handles. Where so I think it's Jay Short as I am Jay Short, or this is someone, or you know what I mean? Someone like I don't know Danny Jack, for example. I think it is just his name because he spells Jack quite uniquely, but most people have to sort of take the thing. But for him to kind of have Soul was taken, it's very postmodern.
It's genius.
Yeah, it
shows his writing, which is on so many levels. Even within his Twitter name, you can pull out 3 different definitions.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess Soul as well. If you're going to read into further of it, you know, his writing in of itself has a level of poetry. You know, has a level of character that kind of transcends a lot of what's around him. And you know, again, you mentioned name flips before, and how do you feel about name flips? A lot of people are dubious about them.
I think if you can do one well that works with your opponent, then that's great. Do it. Smash it. What I'm not so keen on is if you're going to do an entire round of stuff, just play. I mean, you can play with a person's name as a word. Like, I get it. But for example, like, not hating on DNA, he's a great rapper. But seriously, when he did, like, so many scoop flips in his battle with him, like, I saw half of them coming a mile away. They were all kind of like, you know, obviously flashing the cannon and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get it, it's appropriate, it fits in with his style, but seriously, there are so many other things that you could have talked about with Scoop. So yeah, if you're going to use it as a crutch, I don't think it's going to go down as well. But if you can fit it in with your narrative. I mean, there are so many great examples of a punch that have been based on a name flip. Like, for example, coming back to Soul, what Soul said about "What's your real deal shaking with the left hand?" Like, that's a hard name flip.
Yo, yeah.
That is hard, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can do it, then great. But yeah, a little bit touch and go sometimes. What about you?
Name flips I like. I mean, I think for me, a lot of battle rap as a whole is coming up with things that people hasn't heard before, that they think nothing original could be done. And I think the name flip is the sort of microcosm of that. Like, you know, you can see with Soul, I don't know if his tryout flip Soul, but I'm sure the majority of Soul's opponents have gone for Soul, and, you know, all the way up to Shocks is doing stuff with it. And it's a canvas, really, to show the creativity of the opponent on, like, what can they really do with this? What can they... I think maybe B Magic is kind of the greatest name flipper ever. Like, I think the things he can do with names is incredible. Like, you know, when he battled Rosenberg Raw, he just took Rosen Raw and he just went to town with those names. And I agree. With someone like DNA, it can just be a bit like, you know, poop a scoop, 2 O's in the middle of scoop, and it's just like, it's just like, you know, it's just like, you know, the problem is really, I want the originality. Like, I was saying this to, you know, Dago Davalo as well. He did like a Minotaur Labyrinth line, and I was saying to him, you get 10 battlers in a room and say, okay, come up with a Minotaur Labyrinth flip, and he came up, I can't quote it exactly, but he came up with something very, very original. But I think if you said to 10 battlers, come up with scoop flips, they would have written everything DNA performed on that stage, and, you know, it doesn't have any kind of angle there, but I'm a sucker for name flips, and, you know, Koj I had on the show recently. I think he's particularly gifted at name flips. In the Briggsy battle, pissing off the captain they sent me to the Briggs.
That is one of my favourite name flips, like, ever.
Yeah. Incredible name flip.
And also, I know he got ragged for it afterwards, but when Craft D flipped Ambi's name, when he said, like, when I'm taking you out, I'm just making a start and then rearranging the letters and all that kind of stuff, like, I kind of like that. Because it only really worked with Stuart, and Ambi would have been an easier one to flip. So, yeah, I got to give him props for that. I dig Crafty. He's a good guy.
Oh, I love Crafty. Yeah, no, that's a great battle as well. What do you say? Taking off Stuart's head like the Civil War. Had to mouse
Stuart hunt. Little, obviously.
Mouse hunt for clues and riddles, but I'll still make Stuart Little, which is fucking great. Yeah, I'm a fan of name flips. One of the things that I want to do on the Battle Rap Resume channel eventually is just take someone like, for instance, DNA, who's had 100 battles, and compile every single DNA name flip that's been thrown against him, because, you know, it would take a long time. I'd have to watch a lot of DNA battles.
That's basically all of K-Shine's round where he turns into a professor.
Yeah. But DNA himself flips his name against you know, DNA, make up who you are and all that sort of stuff, and you know, DNA at the scene of the crime, and, you know, but yeah, no, I think the names are really good, and for my name, my first name that I really, really like, is kind of, I'm using this name to kind of sum up an era of battle rap names. The name is the Saurus, which I think,
of course,
obviously a fantastic name, but back then, names weren't just monikers; they were puns in of themselves. You know what I mean? Like no can do, immaculate. They were just.
What's his face?
What's his face? Yeah, exactly. They were just in of themselves. They were punchlines, and obviously with the Saurus, it's kind of, you know, a thesaurus and a kind of a prehistoric beast of wordplay that it's kind of conjuring there. And again with the Saurus, you know, it's beautiful to see this guy has battled, you know, hundreds of times. Had him on the show recently. Great to have him on. A real honor. And I don't know if you've seen him versus Topper.
Oh yes,
and
that was a beastly.
Battle of the year for me personally. I think it is battle of the year. Where he's like open up thesaurus like creative writing classes. It's like you know, that's the beauty of name flips. When I heard that, I was freaking out. But then I was like, why has no one came up with that? That's genius.
I've noticed that people don't tend to flip the Thesaurus's name that much. From the battles I've seen of him, like, people they do some dinosaur stuff, or they'll do, like, but they won't do, like, a full going in on his name.
No.
Maybe because it's been done already, like, in whatever, you know, 1800s that he was battling in.
Yes, in literally the Jurassic era when he started battling.
Battling T-Rexes. It's T-Rex and the Thoris and the Saurus.
T-Rex and the Saurus need to battle for that reason alone. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think against DNA says something quite good where he's talking about the WRC times. Like the first time I seen the Saurus lost for words. Which is, you know, not as good as creative writing classes, but again, it's
that is a DNA punch which actually works for him, because it's attacking his opponent. So that's actually like a good use of a name flip for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one thing, just before we get onto your next name as well, there's this phenomenon in battling of not only people changing their names. So, we have like, what was it, Tooth became Judge T.
Yeah,
recently.
I think Max, Pepsi Max, has been going through a few of them as well.
He's been like Azazel, and he's changed quite a lot of them. But you get the phenomenon as well of people shortening their names. So Passwords becomes Pass, Archaic becomes Arc, or Gemini becomes Gemini over one, which I appreciate is branding reasons. Raptor.
That's a Googling reason, and similar with Raptor Warhurst.
Yeah. I mean that just makes sense. But it's interesting to see as well. Like for instance, Passwords into Pass, I think is an interesting one because Passwords, it was PASSWURDZ, a very sort of WRC West Coast kind of rap
like
name.
Awkwards.
Awkwards is another one. But then Pass, it's a lot more minimal. It's a lot more modern, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it's a kind of a way of updating the times, in a sense. And the same with Archaic. Like when he shortened his name, like Arc still works perfectly fine as a name. And in fairness, like a lot of people had been nicknaming him Arc. Anyway.
Yeah.
So it just kind of makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of people say Kayak as well, which is kind of just...
I've not heard Kayak.
I've heard a few Kayaks. I think C Major said it in their doubles battle, which is against Skirmish, which is a very underrated tech after disco, like we speak in Spanish. But I remember Yunnan Arc, where Yunnan says like you called Arc because you believe there's an animal inside you or something like that.
I love that line.
Yeah, great line.
Yep.
So number 2, what other names do you like?
Innuendo.
Yeah.
I really dig Innuendo's name because it fits him like same with Sol, like it fits Innuendo as a battler. Like he says the most inappropriate sexual stuff.
Right.
So it just completely suits him fine. And it works well as a name. It has obviously been flipped. But I don't know how many like haymakers have been made off it. Can you think of any?
I can't. No, I can't really think of any really that have been done there. To be honest,
the only flip that I can think of wasn't even at Innuendo. It was when Shocks was going against Cracker, and he said that he struggled with Innuendo.
Yeah.
That's like the first and the only time I can think of offhand that Innuendo's actually had his name flipped, and it wasn't even in his battle. So
but that's just I mean that's just kind of grabbing battle rap by the scruff of its neck. Really, it's replete with innuendos. It's a great name to sort of. It's totally fitting for his sort of persona as well.
Exactly.
Really is a mega fit there. And I like that. That's a good name. Innuendo, and it just sum up his personality perfectly. For my next name, I want to again sort of use these names to sort of focus on areas of names rather than names in particular. So we had Saurus there looking at the grind time. I'm going with Charlie Clips, and for me it is the name and the weapon. You also have a Shotgun Shug as well.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just have that sort of that juxtaposition of these two things. Like Charlie means nothing, but I always just felt in of itself Charlie Clips. It's kind of a mobster name. Like, you know what I mean? I can imagine like Al Capone running with Charlie Clips. Like it just kind of has this. I appreciate Clips is more of a modern moniker in terms of ammunition, but I like those more forceful names. And again, oh my God, Clips, Charlie. Obviously Charlie can also mean Chuck, so people use that as well. It's kind of a powerful name. And URL, I can't really think, honestly, of any URL battler. It's very common in King of the Dot. It's very common in Don't Flop. I can't think of any URL battler. They just use their name. They always have aliases.
Yeah, I could, and I sort of understand why.
Yeah.
Because was it Calico when he battled Raptor, and then Raptor didn't expose his name. His name is out in the public.
Yeah.
Was just making fun of his name.
Yeah.
So I think there aren't that many hard battler real names that would work on the URL stage.
No, there isn't.
I don't think anyone is literally called Shotgun.
No, they're not anymore. No, but
although if so, sure, if there is, Sharon's taken them to school.
Yeah, no, oh my God, yeah, what a line, what about? I actually saw it was quite interesting. So I don't know if you're aware that Sharon is on Wild and Out at the moment on MTV. which is kind of like their sort of battle show with Nick Cannon, and they just had Chance the Rapper on, and this just came out yesterday. It's got like 1 million views because obviously Chance the Rapper's huge, and they do like their battle and stuff. And Sharon, it's kind of his proper debut on television. All the comments were, "This white guy has to stay. This white guy's amazing." You know, they don't know who Sharon is. They're just seeing this guy, but Sharon killed it. Like, you know, it was great to see him in that sort of environment. But back onto the idea.
So happy for him. I mean, because
like,
he so deserved that.
That's the thing. Like, you know, bring up Crafty again. Crafty's on my side here, where we love Sharon unironically. Like, I appreciate the irony there, but you got to respect not only the skill, but like how long he's been going, the caliber of opponents he beats. He pretty much beats everyone he faces. But yeah, just to get back to the sort of the juxtaposition there, you have people like, you know, Hitman Holler as well, you know what I mean? Hollow Dadan, these kind of quite powerful names. It's quite weird as well in URL. There's always this ubiquity where there's Hollow Dadan, there's also Hitman Holler, and then there's John...
I confused those two at the beginning.
Yeah, and then there's John...
I thought.
But there's John Dadan, and it's like, bro, like, he was
and
called...
Holohan.
And
King of the Dot as well. It was actually Hitman Hollow and Holohan that I thought that Hollow was a shortened version of Hitman Hollow. I didn't realise they were different people in the beginning. Yeah,
and then there was the Don't Flop groupie Holly Masters as well. So there's just all these kind of confusion rife around there. But so yeah, another name that you enjoy, Mark.
I think my final one, you've mentioned him already, but Immaculate.
Immaculate, yeah.
Because aside from the ill flips, because there's far too many of them, he combines together a few different ideas within his name. It just suits him as a battler. Like, he has really, really tight writing, immaculate writing, you could say. Obviously, a little bit of a reference there in Nas as well, the Illmatic and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's just like it's a hip hop name. It's a wholly hip-hop name that just works for his era, his style of writing, and him as a person. Yeah.
I mean, because I remember when DNA got bodied by Ilmac at Blackout 5, he had that name flip where he's like, I'm going backwards, taking Mac on Cam, or something like that, which was just kind of, because that's a common name flip as well. Is your name does your name backwards make any sense? Oh, I'm going to make a bar out of it. Like that is, I've done that myself when I've been battling, like thinking if anything makes sense. Like obviously 142, 241. I should have done an Orange Wednesday flip, but it was 2 years ago, so I need to move on. But yeah, I agree. And I think Ilmac sounds really cool as well. Like just as a name.
Exactly.
Like, it's just kind of like, very, very classic. I think.
Has anyone made a punchline of like, if they have killed Mac, and they could just pack the Mac in the back of the Ack?
But no, I guess kill Mac.
That would be kill Mac in the back of the Ack.
Kill Mac. You'll need to go to the Apple store after you're done with me.
That must have been done.
Yeah. Oh, it has to. But
hacking at the Mac.
Start hacking at his Mac like my. That's Shocks against Sleepy G, isn't it? Start hacking at his Apple like my iPad's broke or something like that. Great.
Like my Mac's monster. Yeah.
So, like and I'll never forget the way because Shocks goes at Sleepy's throat with a hacking motion and the camera gets really close. It's a very effective, subtle bit of cinematography on that Training Days battle. Fucking great battle. But my third choice is one we've already mentioned, but it's one of the most evocative names in the history of battle rap. It's Ogmios.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely agreed with that one. Great name. Not much more to be said.
No, I mean Og gets used a lot.
Oggy.
Yeah, Oggy. I think C Major says, how the first two letters of your name OG, but you're not original gangster.
I forgot that. That's a good bar.
Yeah, and I think Most Prob takes the latter part of the name and talks about Apple, and his name ends in iOS, which is quite nice as well. So there is this kind of. You're picking through. Oh, that's a classic. That Ogmios Most Prob, like a real. I mean, I want to say it's slept on because it's got quite a bit of views. My dad's name is Leslie, of course. That moment as well. But great names. But we're not just here, as people who listen to Battle Rap Resume know. We're not just here to praise. We're here to damn as well, Mark. A name you don't like.
I've been going back and forth between two of these, and I don't know which one to go on. So maybe I'll mention as an honourable mention later the other one. What the hell is a Bamalam?
Right.
Because the only thing I can think of is punching sheep.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what his name means. I can't figure out what it's related to.
No, I've just googled Bamalam, And the second, obviously the first result is, at Joel Watts. The second result is from Urban Dictionary. Apparently, Bamalam is the act of being tricked, cheated, or genuinely screwed by someone or something else.
Okay.
So in a sentence, this broken vending machine will Bamalam your change, which doesn't. No one would ever say that. Like, that is not a verb, but there we go.
I don't think I've ever heard that any normal person ever say that.
And apparently it's Dutch slang, which I'm sure Bamalam wasn't doing, for an attractive woman with fantastic breasts. So, maybe there's some sort of...
No disrespect to Joel, but I don't think he passes as an attractive woman.
No. And his breasts, they're nice, but they're not fantastic. So I don't think that's not what we're saying.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting to hear.
Shout out Joel. But I think against 100 Bullets, he says, like, I'm going to cook you Bama lamb chop, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I cringed.
Oh, did
I'm
you?
sorry. That whole attempt to slow it down, which Bam just completely destroyed.
Yeah.
I cook MCs and it looked like Bam a lamb chop. That is no. I don't rate that at all. I like 100 Bullets. He's a great guy. He's a great rapper. But that line just lost me completely.
To be fair, actually, if we're just going back quickly to names I do quite like 100 Bullets as a name. Yeah. Are you aware of the origin?
Yeah, it's a comic book.
It's a Brian Azzarello, graphic novel. Yeah, and I think 100 Bullets as a name has been flipped really well, and I think that makes
Shufflety. The first one I think of is just 100, eh? That's quite a few.
Or what was Saurus? 100 bullets, you're the same bullet 100 times.
Yeah, that one was also very good.
Hard. Yeah. There's some great stuff there. But and I think someone called Chiller Jones 99 Bullets or something like that. I can't remember what battle that is in, but it's quite a good bar as well. I think for names, personally for me, names that I don't like, but it's hard because, again, I'm more pushing at a theme here. I'm not the biggest fan of It's Just Your Name names. But then sometimes the names work. For instance, the name Carter Deems, it feels quite homey and Midwestern.
Is that actually his name?
It is his name, yeah.
I had no idea. I genuinely thought it was a stage name.
No, it's his official government, social security name over there. Yeah, what are your opinion on just literally, obviously Harry Baker as well, but that's more for kind of smart advertising reasons.
Pat Stay, I think, is a really great name because it's a strong, hard name. It's based on his real name, and obviously it's been flipped, but it's still it stands well as a name in rap.
Yeah,
I think it works fine. Sharon as well, I think, works perfectly fine. It's just his last name, but yeah, it works.
It does. Yeah, I mean, Chris Leese is probably another one that's kind of out there, and it's not bad. It's kind of, they take on their own mind, don't they? Really, when they're sort of put into the battle arena, and you don't kind of consider them, but. It's not bad here. I'm just not too much of a fan of going straight for that. I suppose it's kind of the idea of the alter ego going on stage, and you should have this kind of name to move with. But what are some other names that rub you the wrong way?
Okay, so full disclosure, I've never watched any of this guy's battles because of his name.
Okay.
But I will never ever take Tink the Demon seriously as a name. I'm sorry, but... Okay, bear in mind, I am not the biggest fan of URL. Sure. I watch bits and pieces, I dig it, but I'm not the biggest fan. But who seriously can call themselves Tink the Demon?
Tink, I mean, look, I don't mind Tink the Demon. I've watched a few of his battles. He is... Okay. Do you know what he looks like?
Not a clue. Never even bothered. I just saw the name and thought... Nope, next battler.
He literally he's like this giant man who looks like a demon from hell. He does like horrorcore bars that are quite effective. I remember he talked about cutting someone's back open, playing Jenga with the vertebrae.
I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah,
but then Tink for me is always going to be short for Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
So I can't take a fairy demon. Even if they're talking about Jenga, seriously.
Yeah, when you say it like that, it's a fairy demon talking about Jenga. It is quite ridiculous. I mean, he does... he lives his name to a certain extent. The name is an indication. I appreciate Tink. It's a juxtaposition there of fairyland with Lucifer.
Is it another, is there another meaning of it that I'm missing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not too aware of his back history. I think you're right in assuming it's kind of a Tinkerbell play, and I think he's doing it with a wry eye sort of thing. You're like, this is kind of.
I hope so. Yeah, I seriously hope so, because if there's some kind of irony in it, then I could sort of get behind it. But if it's literally just I've missed something completely, then yeah. Sorry, dude. You're not going to gain in the fan anytime soon.
I think that's fair enough. I think it's quite funny you put that out there. He's not. I mean, I'm not the greatest Tink fan or whatever like that. He got bodied by Swave Sever. I think it was Born Legacy 3 or something like that. But not a bad name there. Yeah, but Tink isn't one that I will point to too wildly as being kind of, to stand out really. I'm trying to think of other names that I dislike really. I think some of the names that I don't like as well, it's hard to say I don't like these names when they're just like not that inventive, but there's quite a lot of people, maybe like a Big J, for example, which there's no real imagination going on to that. It's,
No, but then if you argue, I mean, I like Big J's writing, but it's also not the most imaginative anyway. So it sort of fits.
Yeah, completely. It does kind of.
But then, in fairness, when he's tried to be imaginative, nobody fucked with him. So
yeah.
I can't remember which battle it was, but there was one battle where he tried to do some sort of intricate stuff. It might have been Baker. I don't remember.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, where he tried to do something that was actually kind of cool, and just nobody expected it, and I don't think anybody really reacted. So he's like, "Okay, let's go back to your mom jokes."
Yeah. I think against O'Shea, he's like, "Raw, Big J's got bars now," and he sort of says that to himself, and people are like, "Oh, okay, maybe in a certain sense," but and certain names that are just uninventive. The Dead Man, for example, is just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't really evoke, well, it evokes a few things, and you get someone like Incredible as well, and, these kind of names where they're just kind of not, Sketch Menace I've always thought was a bad name as well. It's quite a lame, almost like
I've not thought about that, actually. Yeah, Sketch Menace is not a great name.
No, it's not. It's just kind of a Mad Lib name that you just kind of randomly... Like, I think Childish Gambino got his name from a Wu-Tang generator, and, he was quite lucky where it was quite... Childish Gambino is quite an interesting name, you think obviously there's sort of the mob life and more adolescence kind of juxtaposed. But Sketch Menace, I mean, what is it? Is it kind of a graffiti? Is that what you're suggesting? Some sort of some scoff...
It's someone who sneaks into children's houses and messes with their etch-a-sketches.
yeah, just shakes them up a little bit. And
shakes them up a bit, yeah. You lost your etch-a-sketch.
And I mean, other names, I'm thinking of names that I like more than anything here. I've always liked Jonai. I think Jonai, kind of sums him up. It's very sort of exotic sounding. The spelling's quite interesting as well.
I saw a comment actually, because I don't know if you said you've seen rather, but he's just announced he's going to be taking a retirement.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And someone in the comments said this is I think the first time people have bothered to spell his name correctly.
That is a shame.
I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, that is a shame that he's... I mean, to be fair to Jonai, his trip to the top tier has been stratospheric.
Yeah, he was cooking in his last battle. I really dug some of the stuff he said against Shella.
Yeah. No, that's a big shame. I mean, it's easy for me to think of names to praise, really. Are there any other names?
I've got two more, but I think I'm going to get the big humdinger out the way. Okay. So, full disclosure, this guy is in my top 3 battlers. He's an incredible writer. And I know that you're a massive fan of him as well, but why did Shox the Rebel pick his name?
Right.
I think he is an incredible writer.
Oh yeah.
He obviously he's the champion now, so you can see his progression, and even in his beginning battles, he was already showing he was going to be making some serious waves. So why didn't that translate into his name?
Yeah. I think the problem is it's the rebel suffix.
That doesn't help because Soul kind of destroyed it with the arse fell out him.
Yeah. That was hard.
But even just the Shox bit, it doesn't suit because he's a slightly older rapper. I'd have expected something that doesn't quite come from the more Shox to me sounds like it would be a teenager-y kind of name. So I don't entirely get I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me as a name. It's not necessarily a terrible name like Tink the Demon, but it doesn't fit my image of him as a battler.
I mean, personally, I don't mind the name. I think the Rebel thing bothers me slightly, and I think he should just take the passwords route and just be Shox now. You don't need to know.
He was in his Drops video, for example. He's just known as Shox.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not sure why that was, but I'll never forget, but way before Battle Rap Resume, I tweeted Shocks saying, like, I've got the greatest name flip for you ever. If we ever battle, I'm doing this name flip. And I have told it him since. I think I've said it on the show before, but basically it was, once I strip away the excess, you'll see the hoe in Shocks.
Yeah, I think you said that in the battle where you broke down the title match.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure I did. Any excuse to say
I listened to that recently, so I think that cropped up in my head. But yeah, that's a good name flip, actually.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's been some, I think Tony D, I always love, to protect what I've built, I'll put Shocks in the ground like lightning rods.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it does really well as a name flip.
Yeah,
but
it does.
But yeah, I don't know. Full respect to Shocks, and I'm super happy he's the champion. But yeah, just his name, little bit tricky.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I get what you're saying there, and I think it's kind of it's quite a evocative name in a certain sense. It's quite a primal elemental force, Shocks, and with the X spelling as well. I think it's a bit more successful than the CKS. But the next one then, Mark. What's your other most? I don't want to say most hated, but not as liked.
Cracker. Why did Cracker call himself Cracker? Because all of the associations of it are not positive.
I agree. Actually. Well, Cracker the Honky originally, wasn't it?
Cracker the Honky, which you're going to go with all of the kind of anti-white, racist stereotypes. That's not great. And then obviously Soul's bar about watch him crumble at the top for relying on crackers to support him. So you're either comparing yourself to a dry biscuit. Or to, the term honky.
It's weird. It reminds me in a certain sense of, I don't know if you've ever seen Clerks 2, but
I haven't, no.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the main storylines is the character of Randall. Unsuccessfully, and obviously I don't agree with what he was doing. He's trying to reclaim the term porch monkey, which he deems as kind of, it's been co-opted by race. And it's kind of with Cracker as well. It's just kind of, it's quite brazen and quite brave, but ultimately the conviction isn't there. It's kind of like, I've had him on the show a few times. I want to ask him why he actually went with that. I'm not sure his motivation.
Please do.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to your episodes of him and you've not touched on the names. So I'd be really interested to hear what his thinking was with it. I mean, he is really, really white.
Right, yeah.
He's very white, so I kind of get that he's kind of playing on the whole kind of stereotype because obviously, yeah, anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
I do want to say though, I think Cracker is perennially slept on. I think the guy's a lot of talent.
He has a lot of talent. His personality in some of the battles has really turned me off.
I can see that.
For example, when during his Shocks battle, where he said a hard line, it's going
yeah,
trying to big up his own lines, and that's just not. That doesn't do it for me.
I see what you're saying. I think
he's got some good stuff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But just the way he tries to oversell the bars and his delivery of them, post delivery in a way, just kind of negates the effect that the respect that I had for the writing in the first place. It's a bit harsh, I realise, but yeah.
No, of course, man. And I'm trying to think of, I think the best Cracker name flip off the top of my head is Old English, where he's like, what's Cracker lacking? Talent.
Yeah, Marlowe had another one as well. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I need to rewatch that battle.
Oh man, Marlowe! That is a disgrace that Marlowe was a judge loss, and that he so clearly bodies Cracker. It's embarrassing that they went with, because it was that time when the judges were like, "Oh, but Marlowe's not a rapper." It's like, yeah, but he's outrighting the fuck from Cracker. What are you doing?
Yeah, that said, Cracker's bar against Marlowe, where he was mentioned about you interrupt the spraying because you don't understand the art. I really reacted heavy when I saw that.
It's just all his Roehampton stuff for Marlowe that I love. Hell of a degree, and all that sort of drama stuff. Great battle, and yeah, good choice for Cracker. Actually, I wouldn't have thought of that, but that is an interesting name to dwell on, definitely.
If you want to come back to good names, I've got a couple of others.
Please.
Kruger.
Love
really,
Kruger. Yeah,
Doug Kruger. I mean, obviously, because it ties in with his first name, but it's come out with some really creative writing for it, and he's an incredible writer.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it works because also he's slept on,
Yeah,
really badly slept on,
and he has that kind of horrorcore element early on as well, that kind of violence to him. So
yep.
Yeah. I quite like Pedro. Like, even though, like, it's kind of something, it doesn't make any sense why he's called Pedro, but it makes all the sense.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of Pedro.
Right.
Like, so many people really dig his stuff. Like, for example, I think Crafty had a lengthy explanation, and John Whitmore as well. They've both tried to, like, convert me to Pedro fanboyism. And there's a lot of stuff I dig, like, but it's never been a full battle. That it's been, like, individual lines or individual rounds where I've gone, okay, that's ridiculous, that's amazing. What are your thoughts on Pedro?
Yeah,
I think as a battler,
I think Pedro's a fascinating case in battle rap, really, where he's never ever changed his style. You know, he's been around since 2011. I remember he battled Enigma at 4th birthday, so he's been around a little bit before then. Then, for some reason, after he battles P Soldier, whilst never changing his style, it becomes the biggest thing in Don't Flop ever. And now he's not again. It's kind of that boom bust thing. I agree. I think if you want me to point you to a battle where there's 3 great Pedro rounds, I can't. You know, it's more moment based. It's kind of almost more American in that sense. You know, Dot's battle is very good. The O'Shea battle, the P Soldier battle. You know, the kind of 2-on-2 with the J Short. There's some good stuff in amongst the mix. And if you just like to see where language goes in a battle rap sense, you know, the guy thinks in multis. I can't do a gallant defense of the guy, but I am certainly a fan. I have to say, I am a fan. I mean,
of his work. He was actually had some great stuff against A as well. I was in the room for that, and it was actually like I tried it and I dug. Like, I understand a bit of like why people like him, but I think part of the reason why people aren't messing with him at the moment or aren't digging his stuff is because he's coming out with some really weak stuff.
Yeah,
like, he has had like an up and down trajectory of his battles. He's not been consistently good. He's not been consistently shit. He's gone up and down. So when he was at his peak and when he was doing, you know, the P Soldier and the O'Shea battles, he was coming out with some amazing content. At the moment, the recent stuff that I've seen of his, it's been few and far between where he's had like proper haymakers.
Yeah. You know, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think a few more names that I enjoy as well. Always like Caustic. I think that kind of, you know...
I'm glad he dropped the kid bit.
Yes, yeah.
I'm glad he dropped the kid bit.
There is no need. There's no need for any kid prefixes around here. Head Ice as well. I quite like. I think Head Ice is quite a powerful name.
I also had a bit more of an appreciation for it when I realised that the ice bit was I control everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was literally just an ice.
Yeah, like an ice pack. Yeah. I think that was bad. I think the name I don't know whether he planned it or not, but not only is it just kind of like and it's kind of like the verbalization, but obviously ER is one of the most prevalent suffixes to any words ever in there. It's literally like calling yourself the. Like it's it's up there
or
with
A
that. Or A, yeah, exactly, or A. And you know, I like the name I think has gifted people lots of name flicks, but as a name for itself, very memorable, quite original, in that kind of grind time vein where it sort of sticks out on the page and you remember it.
It took me a long time to figure out why he was called despite the fact that I've seen so many interviews and heard so many interviews and not hung out with him that much, but like I've listened to him so much, and then finally the penny dropped as to why he's called
Why is he called
Well, unless I've misunderstood, it's because he says like every 5 seconds in his sentences.
Oh, right, okay.
I assumed that's just like he got picked. Maybe he got picked on or something for the fact that he constantly says and it just became his name because of that. I'm guessing that's where it came from. But I've never found any evidence of him saying the origin of his name. That's just my guesswork.
Yeah, I mean maybe. I mean other names that I like. I was like the name Calico. I just think it's quite simple, kind of, you know, quite commanding, authoritarian name there.
Mr. Tongue Twister.
Mr. Tongue Twister, yeah. I
really
like that
dug. Yeah, and I just have you seen his Ren DMC battle?
I haven't actually. I know it just came out. I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's really good. Tongue Twister does really, really well in it. Ren DMC does too, but I prefer Tongue Twister's stuff personally.
Shotty Horror.
Listen, I hadn't thought about Shotty for quite a while, actually, because obviously he's dropped off the battle map a bit. But I don't know if I like... I mean, I kind of like the name, but I don't know if I love the name.
Yeah, I don't... Is it a play on Rocky Horror?
it's a play on a bunch of different things.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
But if it is a play on Rocky Horror, that's a bit of an interesting reference point within the hip-hop culture, because I don't know how many hip-hop fans are really into Rocky Horror.
No, I can't imagine many. I mean, I always think of Shotty's name in the context of the Tony D battle, Ricky Hatton haymakers, these punches, body shots, and, opening him up, really show you horrorcore, and, oh, man.
I like that line so much.
That's such a good line. I mean, Tony murders on that battle. Like, anyone, for some reason, that battle has some debates. It's like, Tony won. It's like, stop the debate, Tony won. Like, Shotty had misguided angles in the second and third, and Tony just cruised. Like, I don't really understand the debate in there, but, Dumbfounded as well is another good old school name that I quite like.
Yeah, now we're digging back into the old school names. Like, yeah, it is very kind of like old school era, but it works for that kind of era.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I had one more name that I don't really dig. Again, I've not checked out his battles that much, but I think you've talked about him before, but What's His Face?
What's His Face? Yeah, you don't like that name?
No, I don't, because part of the point of a name in battle rap is to be memorable. And using the phrase as "What's His Face" implies that you're not memorable.
Right. But it's kind of ironic, no?
It is ironic, but I didn't appreciate the irony. I guess for me as a fan.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I quite like that name actually, and he's one of the guys that I need to get on the show. Actually, he was obviously in the WRC 2006 finals, beat Respect BA in the Spin the Mic finals as well. Incredibly talented MC. That would be really good to get him on. But another name as well. I mean, we could sort of go all day through names we like a name. But another name that I've always really liked, Cadillac Ron.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, he's still one of those battlers I've not managed to check his stuff out yet.
Yeah,
which is terrible because I know like he's one of the pillar stones of the KOTD crowd.
I think especially rest in peace, obviously for his untimely passing. It's kind of kind of deified him to a certain extent. But no, Cadillac Ron. It just, if you know his style as well, it's kind of grimy, kind of sort of
kind of swagger based.
Yeah, certainly kind of y'all sort of thing. There it's definitely quite powerful. But do you have a favourite name? Do you have a favourite battle rapper name?
See, when I put together the list of the three that I mentioned earlier, like I put Ilmac at the top, but I don't know if it's necessarily my favourite name off the top. I don't know if I could pick one just like straight off the top. Of course. Yeah, there's so many, and But of the names that we've spoken about, I think Ilmac takes it.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough. And it's difficult for me to even point to one, to be honest with you. I appreciate what you're saying as well, but there are so many, and this has been really fun. And I want people to comment on the video. Let us know your favourite names, your least favourite names, maybe names.
Feel free to tear us apart for our own decision.
Please.
Decisions.
Yeah. No, I'm used to it.
Tell me why I'm wrong and why Tink the Demon is the best name ever.
And maybe there's some names we aren't aware of. I can't, Nishi, who Jolly J battled, and Nishi teamed up with Mr. 13. He was originally called Wordplay, which is one of the most blatant. You might as well just call yourself Bars. You know what I mean? It's kind of that sort of thing. But please,
there's also Word of Play as well.
Yeah, Word of Play. Yeah, exactly. Word of Play.
So
it's a common sort of respite there. But please comment below. Let us know, your favourite names, your least favourite names, what you like about the episode. Obviously, you can email us as well, battleresume@gmail.com. But Mark, I mean, alongside battle rap, you're you do quite a lot, don't you? Culturally, Broken Amp Zine is one of the things, right?
Yes, Broken Amp is a website that I started. I know that there are a few people here who dig on rock, punk, and metal and that kind of thing, which is what Broken Amp is focusing on. The idea is just in-depth music writing and journalism about interesting phenomena and bands and people involved within the scene. Although we have actually covered hip-hop, particularly the heavier end of it. There's an amazing article, particularly I recommend, on. Do you know the band Dialect? I don't actually know. They are an industrial hip hop group out of Newark, I think, New Jersey, and so they've played with metal bands. They've played on metal stages. They've collaborated, but also with a lot of hip hop artists as well. I recommend check out brokenamp.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. And just to irritate Briggsy, I'd like to also shout out our own Patreon. We have patreon.com/brokenamp. And you can get a ton of extra content on there as well. We're also offering Q&As. We're offering merchandise as well. So yeah, drop us some cash on there if you like what we're doing. And obviously support Battle Rap Resume as well.
No, thank you.
What you're doing is incredible.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I will. I was going to put the links in the description as well for you. Anything else? Any other writings of yours? Any other Twitters and such?
Yeah, my own personal Twitter. I mean, my name will be in the description, so it's just my name, at Mark Angel Brandt, Broken Amp at Broken Amp Zine. If you want to get at me for the website. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, Mark, this has been great. We'll have you back on the show soon. We'll be doing our, homophobia in battle rap episode, which will be a very interesting episode. I think
it's gonna be heavy.
It's gonna be quite heavy. Yeah, I think it's gonna be quite. I don't want to say divisive because obviously we're just gonna be disagreeing with it and kind of we'll see what we think. But an archive, the kind of the idea, because you don't really see gay jokes anymore. At least in Don't Flop, you don't really see it. But I think I
don't know about that, man. Like I've seen quite a bit still.
Okay.
Still floating around, but I'll have to dig up specific examples. That'll be for another time.
Well, battle rappers listening, we're about to shame you, for your social faux pas. But of course, I want to just say, please subscribe to the show, leave us a review on iTunes. I know I keep saying that, but it takes a second of your time. I really, really appreciate everyone that does that. It helps us push us up the algorithms. I had a pamphlet on recently, and he did a bar about sort of ponds kind of tied to each other. That's algae rhythms. So hopefully that pun will push you forward. I personally was pointing to what was Bill Clinton's running mate, Al Gore rhythms, but we can do many puns on this. Please,
that's amazing.
Yeah, follow the show at Battle Rap Resume. Go onto our Patreon as well, as Mark says, if you want to get access to upcoming shows. Of course, check out Broken Amp Zine and all the good stuff Mark's doing. It'll be in the description as well. But Mark, this has been great, man. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you, dude.